Hello, Matt from Education AI here. This is going to be a pretty quick video over one, what ChatGPT is or kind of other AI that you may have seen in your class. The second one is going to be potential issues, things that maybe have popped up so far. Third one is going to be where is this possibly moving in the future. The prophecy business is hard. I'll try my best. Right, first off, what is ChatGPT or similar software? The best way I can explain this is think about it like the text messages on your phone. Whenever you start a sentence, often it will suggest a couple of words that are likely to come up, like slightly above where your text message is. Imagine that, but instead of being trained on you, it's trained on a absolute ton of information. That makes it really, really good at guessing what the next word is because it has all of that information it can rely on and look back at. That being said, I still use it and I'm like, this looks like magic, right? And it's pretty cool. It's also kind of terrifying. Right now, that ability to kind of predict where the next word is, it's kind of limited to about 2 or 3 pages. It can probably do way more, but they've limited to that while they're testing. In the future, namely in the fall, they should be releasing a new version called GPT-4. If that comes out on time and if all the speculation about it is correct, we're moving from 2 or 3 pages to I input a 10-word prompt. It gives me a 60,000 word book. So it is changing rapidly. It will likely continue to get much, much better. That's kind of why we need to go ahead and start thinking about it in our classrooms now. All right, big problems. It's been out not very long. However, kids are pretty tech savvy. So walk in the halls. I've already heard kids say that they've used it to submit papers. Already talking to my previous college professors, and they're like, yeah, definitively it is here and it is already making waves. So issues like plagiarism, we really need to start thinking about it. Is it plagiarism? We tend to think about plagiarism as one person taking someone else's, a person's work, and copying it and saying it their own. I'm not ready to call ChatGPT a person, so in my mind, probably not plagiarism, still a definitive breach of ethics, breach of like the intention of an assignment. So that's kind of where it's probably going to end up. Also, what is your purpose of your assignment? If it can be easily answered with software that is out there and free, maybe it needs to possibly be shifted. I have all of my students handwrite everything right now, and that probably has prevented some problems. However, there's probably a good chance that I will include more oral arguments, more verbal discussion, increase the Socratic seminar session of what it is so I can actively engage with my students to determine where they're at. Thankfully, I have a relatively small student body, so I'm able to do that. We'll see if that can be translated into teachers that have 26 or 30 students 8 times a day. It might require a pretty dramatic shift. Hey, maybe it'll even require smaller classrooms. Last part, prophecy, probably the hardest part. Do I think you're probably going to lose your job with this? No. There's been a ton of instances where people say, hey, this is the end of education. Started with the written word. Why would we write something down? They won't memorize it. They won't know what it is. They will have an education. Well, I still have my job, and that's been 3,000 years. This continues down all the way to the printing press. And, well, now we have people that have ready access to it. There's probably some other undertones to it, but still a similar argument. This continues to the radio and the TV. And rather than being in education or being in the classroom, people will just sit in their living rooms and listen or watch this stuff all day. Still have a job, right? Google, same way. Now, why do we need people to teach? Because individuals have access to all this information. They just type in a question, they can find all the resources. I still have a job. All of those things are tools. They're useful tools, yes. However, they're limited by the ability of the person that uses it. So, ChatGPT, do I think it's going to take your job? No. A big side note to this is if you've worked in education for any amount of time, you know how long it takes to change something. So the odds that the federal government or the state government will change its licensing processes, probably not there. They tend to be 10 years behind everything. So are you going to lose your job? No. Are you going to have to change your classroom style? Yeah, probably. This will be a shift. something to think about. Things like teachers pay teachers. I do think that will change because right now what I use that system for is time saving. I still check everything. However, it costs me money. Right now, this is a free resource. I go into Teachers Pay Teachers, I find something that I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I still want to teach this. However, I can't invest that amount of time right now. This allows me, ChatGPT allows me to say, I need this assignment and an idea. Can you put this into a worksheet? And I can check it, make sure that all the information is good, and then go in. And it takes me 30 seconds, and it's free. So that's probably where that's going to move to. Side gigs, those will probably change. I still think we will have room for educators.